welcome back to another episode of Parallel Barking. You might be surprised to be hearing my voice first. This is Ariana Backer, if you were super surprised. And joining me today is our co-host, my daddy, my very precious daddy, Larry Backer, who will also be barking.
Surprise.
And perpendicular, yes, surprise, super surprise.
Woof, woof.
And a even bigger surprise.
Huge.
Since we've been doing this for a little bit, about 2 months, we have about 8 episodes out. We decided to bring on our biggest fan.
Biggest.
And whose biggest fan is not their mom. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Hi, I'm Donna Backer, the mom.
The mom, our
Mom.
biggest fan. So
I
we
am
brought,
your biggest fan.
It's
We
a
brought her
family
back.
affair.
It's a
A family
affair.
affair.
Yes.
We
You're
brought
dating yourself.
mommy back on for the first time to talk to us and give us a little feedback on our performance so far, and then also give us some insight on our topic today, which is legacy.
3
What do I mean?
syllables.
Yes,
What
it
is-
is 3 syllables.
What do I mean by legacy? What do we mean by legacy? Well, it could mean many different things, but I think in today's age, it's a little bit different because of all the different resources we have at our fingertips. We've got the interwebs that have infiltrated all of our brainsicles and really become the main source of where we put all of our creativity, all of our, our ideas. And I think that's where a lot of where we think we as people are putting ourselves out to the world. And I've been just thinking recently, like that's going to be out there forever. You know how people say the internet can never be erased. Whatever's on there is going to stay on there forever.
Unless the entire world goes to hell.
Oh, that
Or
is
we
dark.
begin a new age.
That is also an incredibly dark statement. Well, go into that. What do you mean by that?
So you're talking about cemetery monuments.
A bit. But what do you mean?
So this podcast is then part of all of our legacy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, is legacy things and ideas and, production of your life? Or is it something more esoteric like your reputation, the emotions that you evoke in other people, stuff like that?
Or as the ancient Greeks might have told us, whatever someone remembers about you, the old story in the Iliad.
Could be.
Or
Maya Angelou actually said, and I'll paraphrase it, that something like nobody will remember what you wrote.
Yes, I know
No
what you're
one
going
will
to say.
remember what you did, but everyone will remember how you made them feel.
Yes, I love that quote.
I know, so do I.
Until they all die, and then no one will remember anything.
Well, that's the point of this conversation, actually,
The point of legacy, though,
because-
is that people remember
and pass it on and
pass it
pass
on.
it on to future
And does
generations.
that matter?
Well,
And-
actually, there are 2 questions. Maybe one, does it matter if it's connected to you? So is it your legacy, or is it the legacy that matters? Is it the thing you produce, or is what is critical the fact that you are remembered for your attachment to that thing, whatever it is?
Yeah. Is it the ideas, or is it the fact that you are producing those ideas?
Well, I think that all goes back to whether or not you think you have a purpose in this life. Because if you have a purpose, then it does matter that you produced these things or these ideas. But if you ultimately have no purpose other than to produce things, then it's just the things, the production, the ideas, the whatever.
So,
Or maybe your purpose is to be remembered.
right. Okay. So let's talk about, like, for instance, any artist, musical artist who might be trying to create their own avenue to publish their music. Like, that's, to me, an example of, in some way, designing a pathway to legacy. Is it?
And the pathway itself is a legacy.
And the pathway is a legacy.
But what if you strip all of these productions from the individual so that all things that are produced are stripped of any connection to the person who produces it?
All right, let's ask that question when it comes to your podcast, Dad. Like, when we talk about the things that, because you have a plethora of content. I mean, if nobody else who is listening to this podcast knew, Larry Katabacker is a ridiculously prolific law and international relations professor. He writes, talks, and puts it all.
And I didn't pay her for this plug,
on the interwebs.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, he puts it all on the interwebs. But then what would you say if you were taken away, you were extricated out of all of that? What does that mean to you?
Well, it means that me will not be remembered, and I had better live my life in ways that I find personally satisfying. But to the extent that the ideas will acquire a life of their own, and that the ideas and thoughts will be remembered, that may be more than enough. And that there's two things going on. One is my pleasure, in however you want to describe it, sense of duty, sense of fulfillment in producing it, right, which is personal to me, but not necessarily of any interest to anyone else, other than in this bizarrely self-therapeutic and self-aggrandizing society that we've been living in. And then the second is the thing itself that might, by projecting it out, produce something of value to collectives somewhere, sometime, maybe not now, maybe 100 years
Yeah,
from
but
now.
wouldn't you actually be a little bit ticked off if someone else took credit for your ideas?
That's different.
Well,
so that's
not really. I mean, because
that's
if the ideas are out there and no one knows who produced them,
Somebody
then
could take it.
somebody could just take it and say, "Oh, look what I thought."
then you're positing a very interesting position, and that is that I can't do what I want to do, which is to view the contribution as distinct from myself, that indeed we have set ourselves up as a culture so that it has to be property, and it
Of
has
someone.
to be identified with
Intellectual
me.
property.
Right.
That's what we're talking about.
Otherwise someone else will appropriate
Well,
the property.
Isn't that the original definition of legacy? It's a legal
Mm.
thing.
Mm.
It's a piece of property or an inheritance or
Well, yeah,
anything
that's
else
right,
that
'cause-
you pass on
Yeah,
to
a thing that belongs to the community.
A trust.
no.
therefore-
How, what do you mean it belongs to the community?
It belongs to
Originally?
No. I thrust it out.
Oh, your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I
thrust
see.
it.
I see what
I
you're
thrust
saying.
it out.
Yeah.
And historically, in every context and every historical period, it'd be slightly different. In the one we're living in, though, which is dominated by the notion of the artist as individual. I mean, there were millennia where the artist remained unknown, a craft person, rather than the industry of
true.
personality. Why do I care that Joe Smith has these fabulous shoes or that I did the podcast? But what we should be interested in is the thing itself. we
The
have
ideas
more,
that
right,
were.
we have more and more and more become and in a sense, we're substituting the value of the individual for the value of the ideas. And you see this
Yeah.
most readily, for example,
Isn't that
with
what the-
Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah,
I'll give you Thomas Jefferson. Do we value his ideas about democracy, freedom, and equality, or
Yes.
do we eliminate it because he was personally
a slave owner.
a slave owner, and to that extent, in our eyes, certainly a reprehensible human being, right? And that, in part, is a consequence of what you value more: the individual tied to an idea, or the idea that happened to be produced by the individual. If you can't detach them, right, then all ideas literally, I think, become personality.
Well, isn't that what the cult of personality is all
It
about?
absolutely is. And that's so interesting that you say that. People love the cult of personality.
Today.
It's not something that you
but unfortunately, we're living.
we are
today.
living the cult of personality. This
Yeah,
is something that
it's a
people
pity.
celebrate.
Right. It's a pity that we've given up all our gods, because the alternative would have been to ascribe genius in the old-fashioned sense, not to the vehicle through which it was produced, the human being, but as
To the
but to the
higher
God,
power.
right, to the divinity. In the old days, we would have considered this to be an expression or a gift from the saints, through the saints, or through Hermes, or through whomever. And that to some extent was weird, but to some extent acted as a brake on the hubris involved in this notion of the absolute unity between the character of the individual and the thing that was produced. In the other way of looking at it is that, in fact, the individual is a vehicle, and while one honors the choice of the gods for selecting that person, and there may be some irony, there may be a life lesson for the person, or there may be that's the convenient vehicle. The idea itself, right? Yes, the idea itself is not so deeply embedded in that union of sperm and egg that produced this individual, who then made choices in the environment in which she was placed to then produce either an awful or a good person, which provides a singular lens through which you view the contribution.
Yeah. Very good. What do you want your legacy to be, Ariana?
Well, I don't know, because when we're talking about this too, I'm thinking, oh my God, this podcast itself is just, it's ripe to be is it a legacy, or is it really just us talking to ourselves
And each other.
And I mean, I know that later on in life, I'm going to love listening to this. And
so you're going to cringe.
Yes, I am going to cringe, and I'd be like, what were we thinking?
Maybe.
This was ridiculous. But I think my legacy is probably going to be a bunch of things that I don't expect. I think it's going to be a bit messy. I think it's going to be a bit messy.
Do you care?
No.
Yeah,
Does anybody care?
You'll be in a higher plane.
Should one care?
I think people do care, but I think that's one weird thing about me.
Why? Because they want to be famous?
Because
posthumously?
Because they want to live forever. This is, again, we go back to the choice. Do you want to die with the memory of your grandchildren having lived an ordinary life, or do you want not to live an ordinary life and live heroically, but for a nanosecond? Right, that's the choice. That was a choice. This is immortality, is memory.
Yeah, like how, and we were talking about this. Nikki and I were talking about this before. Like, I think the idea of legacy has definitely changed because because we have the ability and we have the luxury of thinking about the things that we are able to do now that we weren't before. Like Grandpa's legacy is very different than what your mom's legacy and dad's legacy is. I think grandpa's legacy has more to do with the family that he established here and the work that he did to establish this huge, like, successful line.
Yeah.
But this is a legacy that you're imposing on him, right? So the legacy.
This is my thought.
You've transmitted, right?
Okay, but legacy
Is
by
by
its very
the
nature
perception of the people, right?
is the outside
It's the memory.
perception. It's your reputation or
It's-
what people think of you or what, you know,
The
it's
memory of you.
the memory of you.
Yes.
And people remember things differently.
Mhm.
They remember people differently.
And then they stop remembering.
Well, yeah, that's going on too, but
Well, they absolutely do. I mean,
And then you die.
when
then-
it's convenient, it's easy to stop remembering.
This is Achilles.
Go on.
Yeah, what do you mean it's
It's
Achilles?
Achilles.
Oh, yeah.
You live in the memory through your grandchildren, and then you slowly fade and are forgotten, or you live not through your family, but through an extraordinary act, the memory of which is then, again, this is going back, lives again in tales that are told over the fires, or now with the Norse, with the Greeks, with the Chinese. They are
Yeah.
put in stories that become part of the heritage. And even if you aren't remembered as yourself, you are now immortalized, right? In
As
however
part
way
of
the
that
memory is shaped. Right.
Story, yeah. Because
So
you're part of
maybe
that
you're-
generation.
Maybe your legacy is then if you produce things or if you care and produce a legacy, the legacy then becomes a lesson, a moral tale for future generations.
If they
Until they
decide
don't
to
care.
take heed, if they decide to listen.
Right.
Yeah.
Until they don't care anymore.
Yeah. until
And
they
then
don't care
the
anymore.
legacy is lost,
Until they find it again,
right? Under a different name,
or pretense.
right? Or excavated.
I want my legacy to be Flarb,
Okay.
except I didn't invent it.
Wait, whoa. For those of us who don't know what flarb is,
Flarb is
Flarb is noise putty.
wait, what?
It's
Like fart
noise
putty?
putty. It's in a little container, a plastic container. And it stretches and it's fun like to use like silly putty. But if you have it in its container and you poke into it, it makes fart noises.
Right. But your mother is right. So one's legacy is one's ability to make a noise that lasts.
Oh, leave it to you to turn that into something
So
philosophical.
the world's longest fart. If I do
Yeah.
that,
As the scorpion said, it's my nature.
It is your nature. Yes. That is what the scorpion said. I love that tale.
well, I should read it.
Scorpion tail. No.
then.
Well, I don't know if legacy actually matters, because once you are in fact dead, ta-da, you don't care
Well,
unless there is an afterlife.
we'll have to podcast from beyond. Put that on
Well,
the
and-
list of future
Yeah,
podcasts.
future topics.
We absolutely know you will, Dad, because you are unrelenting. So that is, we are not worried about that.
That's right. That's
but
right.
I
On the other hand, will probably just sit back and say, screw it.
We will see.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how many podcasts we can amass, during
Right.
our
And then-
lifetime.
Our legacy.
And then bury ourselves with that
Okay.
Yes.
as our memory.
Bury ourselves.
Well, they did that in but I want a pyramid built over me
with all your riches
with all
and
my
your living animals.
And
Right.
oh, no, I would never do that to
Right.
animals.
And some of the greatest villains of the 20th century sought to do just that with the corpses of their country people. But that's a different podcast.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, any closing statements from our lovely guest today?
Thank you very much for having me on your podcast.
Actually, do you have any feedback for
Fun.
any of our podcasts?
Oh, I was hoping
Thus
you wouldn't get to that. Okay.
That will be the next podcast.
Well, no, I was hoping
No.
actually, this podcast was, I want to say less one-sided,
It was balanced.
some of them. So that's good. If you guys strive to make all of them balanced in that way and alternate, who hosts, who introduces it,
Oh, okay.
who, do that, and keep tabs on how long each of you is speaking and make it a real back and forth conversation. But I think a lot of the topics are timely and fun and and useful.
So you like the topics. Okay.
I
That
do
was
like the
actually-
topics. Yeah, I tend to like philosophical topics because I'm always asking, why? Why does that matter? That would be a good topic. Why does anything
Why
matter?
does that matter?
Why
Do you
does it
think-
matter?
It would be a good idea eventually to reach out to our listeners and ask for topics.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Closing statements from Duddy.
Daddy, closing statement.
Remember,
So pithy.
All right, everyone. Let's say goodbye for this podcast.
Goodbye.
goodbye.
Goodbye.